Today, we become legends.
So the full Martikaras kit has been revealed and showcased, and he looks like a super unique hunter with completely different basic attacks, crazy numbers, and a stealth field that lasts 3 minutes in total. So without further ado, let's jump in. So first up, Marty has unique basic attacks. Instead of dealing the usual 100% power scaling on hit, they deal 90% instead and apply stacks of Venom, which deals 5% power scaling over 2 seconds per stack. His first basic attack on a target applies 4 of these stacks, so 20% scaling for 110% in total, and future basic attacks will refresh and increase this stack count by 1, up to a maximum of 8. So the idea here is that you continually land basic attacks to keep this dot as active as long as possible. At 8 stacks, it will be dealing 40% power scaling over those 2 seconds, and if you can keep it there, it's going to be dealing constant 40% power scaling every 2 seconds to your enemy, and you only trade 10% power scaling per basic attack to get that, so it seems pretty strong. The passive Monstrosity though is crazy. Martichoras gains stacks for hitting basic attacks and abilities and getting kills or assists. At max stacks, he loses all stacks and gains attack speed based on his level for 6 seconds, which can be extended by landing basic attacks in a similar way to Gilgamesh 1, up to a maximum of 12 seconds. Each time this effect procs, he gains a permanent stack of 1% lifesteal and ability lifesteal, and this can stack up to 30 times. We'll have to see how quickly this stacks up in game and at what time in a match roughly you'll get 30 stacks online, but this seems really strong to have 30% lifesteal and ability lifesteal just for free from this passive. Plus the extra attack speed for a long duration as well is really nice. Acid Rain is Marty's one, which fires a hail of venomous spikes, creating a circle that rolls forward, damaging enemies hit, and leaving behind a toxic trail that slows and deals minor tick damage to enemies standing in it. This will be great for minion wave clear, since minions will just stand in the trail for the full 3 seconds and take the initial hit plus 6 extra ticks of damage, but the damage to gods isn't too huge. This can also be really good for keeping safe on your wave clear and poking, because the range on it is actually really far. Poison Barb is the 2, which actually seems really great for clear as well, so it seems like Marty will have pretty high pressure from both ADC and mid in terms of early game wave clear. He shoots a stinger that damages and passes through minions, stopping at the first god hit and sticking into them for 3 seconds, reducing healing by 50%. If no god is hit, the stinger just stays on the ground. In these 3 seconds, hitting the stinger with a basic attack or ability will explode it in an AoE, dealing additional damage, rooting the enemy it was stuck in if it was stuck in one, and reducing healing again. This can be blocked, so it won't be his primary wave clear, but it can assist what looks like already solid wave clear from his 1. Since the 1 will automatically explode the stinger, you can just throw the stinger and then throw the 1 and you're going to get some huge wave clear from that. This can also just be great for pressuring enemies in general by sticking them with the stinger and exploding it, dealing very high damage and rooting for follow-up basic attacks or abilities. Stalk Prey, the 3, is a really interesting ability. Marty places a patch of stealth grass on the ground where allies can hide unseeable from the outside unless an enemy or enemy ward is in the area. The usual stealth rules also apply here, so attacking or being hit also reveals you. Marty's basic attacks deal an extra 10% basic attack damage up front while he is in this area, effectively bringing them back to normal for 100% scaling, and will instantly apply 8 stacks of venom instead of the usual 8, maxing it out immediately. Allies in this area also gain substantial movement speed. These patches of grass last 180 seconds or 3 minutes, and you can have a max of 3 on the map at any one time. Given the 25 down to 15 second cooldown that is relatively low for this kind of effect, you can easily have these up very commonly for fights or lane skirmishes. And since they last so long, this will probably create some very interesting mind games, especially in the jungle. You know, if you run around the jungle and you see one of these, it could have been freshly placed and Martichoras and his team might be waiting in there for you, or it could have been placed 2.5 minutes ago and it's about to expire and you actually have nothing to worry about. So it's pretty interesting to see the gameplay ramifications of that. And finally, the ultimate is Death from Above. Martikaras ascends, becoming CC immune and untargetable, then firing 12 bursts of toxin at the ground over 3 seconds. Each one does damage and reduces protections on hit by 5% up to 8 stacks. So a 40% protection shred at max value, which is pretty damn crazy, and this shred lasts 4 seconds. The total damage on this ability is kinda nuts at over 1000 base and 200% scaling, but you will be fairly unlikely to hit all 12 of these toxin blasts, so we'll have to see how many it is that you can realistically hit with this on average before judging the ability too hard. Since the hit area is relatively small, but it does seem to track fairly well, so I think it's going to be completely reasonable to hit 8 to 10 of these. And that's going to be some huge damage. But yeah, that's the whole kit design of Martikaras. I have to say, it looks more interesting than I initially thought based on the dev post. He has a lot of unique mechanics like his basic attacks and his stealth grass, and it seems like he'll work fairly well ability based, which is my favourite way to play hunters personally. Maybe he'll see success in mid or even in the jungle with the heavy burst damage and grass patches, we shall see. But what are your thoughts on Martikaras? Does he look cool, or would you rather have seen someone else for this slot? Drop a comment down below and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.